Recording. All right. Can you guys hear me properly? Just making sure my mic's working.
Yep, you're good.
All right, thank you. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Council's final meeting for the 2020-2021 term. Just before we get started, I'd like to say, it's been a pleasure being your chair for the last year. Joining SUS last April and motivating for chair at my first council meeting was a big jump for me, and it's been a great learning experience to say the least. While not everyone may agree with how things have been run, I'd like to think we've had a very productive year. We've tackled many topics from the Change the Name campaign to the restructuring of the SFSS to Empower Council. I'd like to thank all of you that have been actively participating in our meetings while online and have been volunteering your time to contribute to the various initiatives of the society. And I'm hoping that you've had the opportunity to have your voices heard on student issues. You're more invested in the SFSS. Kind of to just end off here, I'd like to say I'm really hopeful and excited for our next term as we become the legal board of directors for the SFSS. And just with all that being said, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 4:32 p.m. Now going to move on to do territorial acknowledgement. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. We're going to start off here with our roll call of attendance, starting with myself. My name is Zaid Lari. I am the representative from Science Undergraduate Society. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are met. Going to start off with archaeology.
Hi, I'm Clara. Pronouns are she, her, and my accessibility needs are met.
Bachelor of Environment.
Hi, my name is Bradley. Pronouns he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are met. Thanks.
Thank you. Behavioral Neuroscience.
Hi, my name is Arthi, pronouns she and her, and all my access needs are met, although my laptop has been acting up, so if I do disconnect, I'll make sure to join back quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Business. Business rep present. Chemistry.
Hi, my name is Wen, pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Thank you. Computer science.
Hi, my name is Ryan. My pronouns are he, him, his. All my access needs are met.
Chronology.
Hi, my name is Charlotte. She, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Thank you. Data science.
Hi, my name is Michael Matthew, pronoun he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are met.
Earth science.
My name is Alex. My pronouns are they, them, and my access needs have been met.
Thank you. Alex, you may need to move your mic closer to your mouth. Quite quiet there. Economics.
Hi, my name is Sandra. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Education.
Hi, Adrian. Pronouns she, her, and all my access needs are met right now.
Engineering. English.
Hi, my name is Liz. My pronouns are she, they, and all of my accessibility needs are met.
Environmental science.
Hi, my name is Chloe. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are met.
French.
Hi, my name is Kylie. Pronouns she, her, hers, and all of my accessibility needs have been met.
GSWS.
Hi, everyone. I'm Devin. She, her, hers. My accessibility needs have been met. Thanks, everyone.
Geography. History.
Hi, my name is Alan, pronouns he and his, and my access needs have been met.
Humanities.
Hi, my name is Sarah. She, her, hers, and all my needs are met. Thank you.
Indigenous Studies Student Union.
Hi, my name is Stephanie, pronoun she, her, and all my accessibility needs are met. Thank you.
Interactive Arts and Technology.
Hello, my name is Jeremy, pronouns he, they, and my accessibility needs have been met.
International Studies.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaliyah. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all of my access needs have been met.
Labor Studies. Linguistics. Mathematics. Ben. Mechatronics.
Hi, my name is Kimia, she, hers, and all my access needs are met.
MBBSU.
Hi, my name is Kyle, he, him, and all my needs are met.
Operations.
Hi, my name is Ash. Pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs have been met.
Philosophy.
Hi, my name is Tony, he, him, his, all my access needs are met.
Physics. Is the physics rep present? PSSU.
Hi, everyone. My name is Helen. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Psychology.
Hi, guys. My name is Tiffany. My pronouns are she, they, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Arts and Social Sciences.
Hi, my name is Akam. My pronouns are she, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Sociology. Sociology and Anthropology rep present.
Sorry, I was having an issue unmuting. So my name is Kayla, she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
Thank you. Statistics and Actuarial Science. Is the SASA rep present? Looks like I skipped over Software Systems.
Hi, my name is Mehak. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. World Literature.
Hello, my name is Sarah. Pronoun she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance.
Hey, my name is Serena. My pronouns are she, they, and for accessibility needs, my internet is bad as usual, but if I drop out, I'll be right back. Thanks.
Thank you. Student Athlete Advisory Committee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan. Pronouns are he, him, his, and my accessibility needs have been met.
SOCA.
Hi everyone, my name is Juanita. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My accessibility needs, well, I have like 4 incidents on transiting, so I might leave, but I'll just log in real quick. Thank you.
Thank you. Women's Center Collective. Is the WCC rep present? Now going to move on to our board of directors. VP Student Services.
Hello, it's Matt. My pronouns are he, him, his, and as of right now, my accessibility needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. VP Student Life.
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer, she, her pronouns, and I have to take a 20-second eye break every 20 minutes. So if I'm looking away from the screen, that's what I'm doing.
All right, thank you. Do you have any of our faculty reps, Faculty of Science?
Hey everyone, my name is Quichen. My pronouns are he, him, his. For access needs, I might just have my camera off today, but otherwise I'll have it on when I do speak later.
All right, thank you. And moving on to our guests, we have SFU's CIO here. Mark, you may introduce yourself.
Great. Hi, my name is Mark Roman. I serve as the Chief Information Officer. They, their, them, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Perfect, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 4 now, ratification of regrets. The motion reads, be it resolved to ratify regrets from Maven Sarah. Would anyone like to move this motion?
World Literature moves.
World Literature moves. Would anyone like to second?
Soka seconds.
Soka seconds. Going to move to amend this motion to include Lauren Robson, Nicholas Bonilla, and Josh Ham. Motion would then read, be it resolved to ratify regrets from Maven Sarah, Lauren Robson, Nicholas Bonilla, and Josh Ham. Would anyone like to second this amendment?
World Literature second.
World Literature seconds. Going to seek unanimous consent to approve this amendment. Seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no objections, this amendment carries. Motion now reads, be it resolved to ratify regrets from Maven Sarah, Lauren Robson, Nicholas Bonilla, and Josh Ham. Once again, going to seek unanimous consent. Seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to object, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries unanimously. We're now on to item 5, adoption of the agenda. 5.1, the motion reads, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Would anyone like to move this motion?
World Literature moves.
World Literature moves. Would anyone like to second?
Behavioral neuroscience seconds.
It's been seconded. All right, is there any discussion? Yes, Helen.
Hi, Zaid. So just for the record, I was looking at the agenda and it's dated for April 26th, when today is the 28th. I'm wondering if we can make a correction for that, for the record.
I don't think we need to change the date on there. I'll just ask the admin assistant to correct that when she gives us the minutes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, seeing no further discussion, we're going to move to vote on this. Seek unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no objections, the motion carries unanimously. Now on to item 6, matters arising from the minutes. 6.1, be it resolved to receive and file the following minutes. Council, April 21st, 2021. Would anyone like to move this motion?
PSSU moves.
PSSU moves. Anyone like to second?
World
Ecology
Literature
second.
World Literature seconds. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, we will once again move to vote via unanimous consent. Once again, seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries unanimously. Now on to item 7, reports from the liaisons, starting with 7.1, Council Liaison. Ryan, you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, so last Friday's board meeting, the usual filing of the minutes. There were a few changes to the new council SFSS structure, administrative and issues policies by the governance committee. I went over these, they're all minor. It's like typos, clarity fixes, spelling and stuff. They were voted on. The new COVID emergency fund was approved. The BIPOC committee held their year in review. The preliminary budget was approved and it accounts for the new remuneration. But if that doesn't pass, the money doesn't just disappear. We don't just light it on fire. It goes back to the SFSS. So in either scenario, that budget is fine. And the board has continued searching for portal software, but so far nothing really fulfills our needs better than Zoom. I believe that's it, unless you want to look over each individual item, but it's a lot of just filing and paperwork.
All right, thank you, Ryan. On to 7.2, board liaison. Jennifer, you have the floor.
Awesome. So I'm sending my notes in the chat. Unfortunately, there's only one meme because I had finals during this time. But if you don't mind, Zaid, I'm going to share my screen because I think it might be easier. So this is the document that I sent in the chat. There's only three people on the document, but it's okay. I'm sharing screen. Basically, Ryan kind of went over most of it. One thing that I should mention is that we did create 3 new departments, which we approved earlier via motions to hire coordinators for an accessibility center, a Black student support office, and a student advocate office. So that was part of the new budget, and you can click on this link here, which brings you down, and then there's all the discussion, which you can read, as well as a briefing note. So if you're looking for more information, you can just everything is just on the document. And I also put the compiled notes here. So if you want to refer to previous meetings, you can also go there. That's all for my, and also please come to the last SFSS board meeting this Friday, April 30th at 2 p.m. We will be presenting like a year-end report of everything that we've accomplished.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we're now moving on to item 8, our guest presentation. So just a rundown for everyone. We'll first have the presentation by from Mark here, and then we'll be followed by 10 minutes for Q&A, where you guys can ask any questions you may have regarding SFU's IT. But yeah, without further ado, Mark, you have the floor.
Great, thank you. And glad to know Zoom meets your needs. So we just renewed the contract actually today, so glad to know that. Let me just share my screen. And let's just see here if I get the right slides. And I think we're good. Yeah, excellent. I'm going to adjust something on my screen here for a moment. So first of all, thank you very much for having me here today. What I'm going to go through is a discussion of our security environment and give you a sense of the kinds of things that we as an IT organization have to deal with. We have a lot of non-trivial problems, and these are not just problems that SFU faces, but that universities around the world are facing. And we live in dangerous times, I would suggest. That's the best way to think of it. So let me start. The first slide here has a picture of our data center, and this is over in the Water Tower building. What you see there is a configuration that holds roughly 100,000 processors, and that's just one part of our environment. We have another 17,000 systems roughly across campus. We manage networks. We manage a large, vast array of different technologies. And so there's a lot to protect. Okay, so I'll just kind of start to walk through some of the security context. I like to use I'm a Star Trek fan, so I do apologize if I intermingle a few Star Trek memes in here. But let me first give you some context. We are facing salient threats from criminals and from nation states, and they're very well funded. The model of the hacker in their parents' basement attacking systems is long gone. We're dealing with professional criminal organizations. We're dealing with nation states. In other words, parts of nations' armies now do cyber warfare, and they're attacking us. The profile of these organizations, they are increasingly sophisticated, and they are delivering attacks and exploits that are remarkably complex. If needed, they can act very quickly. What we have are a large number of zero-day exploits that are being discovered from vendors. For example, a month ago, there was an exploit discovered on Microsoft Exchange servers, and you had basically a day to patch it before you were exploited. Conversely, the attackers are also very patient. Because they're well funded, they can take their time to get into your systems. They can take their time to exploit your systems before launching an attack. These organizations have become so sophisticated, they have criminal ecosystems. So some organizations specialize in breaching then they sell that information to other criminal organizations that specialize in, say, something like ransomware. What we're dealing with is a very complex system and a very sophisticated and wealthy criminal system. A friend of mine who was a CIO at the University of Calgary had a breach. When they decided to pay the ransomware, they called the service desk of the organization that held them for ransom. And he said they were very professional. It was a better, well-organized help desk than his own organization at the University of Calgary. And everybody had a Russian accent. So, one of our challenges in the quote on the side here is that true cybersecurity is preparing for what's next, not what was last. And that's really hard to predict. But when we have well-funded enemies, they're coming up with new ways of attacking us all the time. Yesterday's attack is not going to be tomorrow's attack. Let me give you some more context. Our security perimeter is where our people are. And in IT, we used to have a data center and some people on campus, and that was our perimeter. And we could put firewalls around it and protect it. But our people are everywhere, right? They're no longer just on campus. And that's not just because of the pandemic. That's been the case for a few years now. And so how do you protect a security perimeter when the people you need to protect are absolutely everywhere? It becomes a different challenge. Universities are institutions of national significance, but we are culturally open. That's historically been the case since Socrates, that we are open, and that makes us vulnerable. And there's a famous quote from Microsoft that has they recently sent out to research universities saying, either you're being hacked or you're irrelevant. In other words, the research you're doing probably isn't of interest. Interesting, that makes it more of a challenge because SFU is certainly an important university with very important research going on. The rate of investment by criminal and nation-state attackers exceeds vastly the rate of investment by university defenders. And this is the position we're in. I mean, talk a little bit about offense versus defense, but I want to quote you the FBI director, Robert Mueller. He said, there are two types of companies, those that have been hacked and those that will be. And that's a frightening statement. The experience level varies between the attackers and the defenders. This is a fundamental problem. The attackers are doing this every day, right? They're attacking multiple organizations. It's their job. Universities respond to breaches as needed. We don't have the same level of expertise in defense that the bad guys have in offense. The attackers, as I alluded to earlier, are very well funded. Ransomware now earns more income than the drug cartels. It gives you a sense of the criminal aspect of this. Ransomware earns roughly $6 trillion a year. That's the third largest economy after the United States and China. And nation-state attackers have access to full government resources. So when we're dealing with a country that wants to get access to our research, they're very well funded and they're very, very good at what they do. The breadth of attack versus the breadth of defense, we're at a great disadvantage. The attackers only have to find one weakness in our system. They find one hole and they can get in. We have to defend absolutely everything. Now, you saw the picture of the data center. You know we have at least 17,000 systems on campus. We have to protect all of that. We have a vast attack surface, and unlike say a bank which says this is the exact technology you will use and these are our standards, and a university, we allow multiple technologies, we support multiple devices, and we need to. That's part of our culture, again, being open and collegial. We have multiple systems here. That makes us that broadens the attack surface. The attackers can act fast if they need to, right? So they can be opportunistic. They can look for those zero-day exploits that I mentioned. And that leaves us with little or no time to respond, which makes their job very difficult. And they can also be patient. So they, in some cases, we've seen this in other Canadian universities where they take a strategic approach. They slowly build on an exploit to maximize the value of that exploit. They fully assess the network. They look at how big the potential monetary target is. They determine whether they can get a ransom payment from the organization. Then the next step is to attack the backups so that you have no way of recovering if they do encrypt your files. Then they exfiltrate your data, and then they hack it, they encrypt it, and they release the extortion. And they will either delete or encrypt. One of the challenges with ransomware is these are criminals. Why should you pay them? And if you do pay them, should you trust them? And one of the other issues is, what if you had a breach and one criminal organization came in, encrypted your files and put a ransomware node in, and then another criminal organization came in the same breach and encrypted that ransomware node and then put their own ransomware node in? If you pay the latest one, you're simply not, they simply don't have the information. There's a lot of uncertainty in these circumstances. When we think about nation states, they have people that are hired full-time jobs. They work 9 to 5, and their job is breaking into systems to position their nation ahead of others. We've seen attacks from countries, denial of service attacks, where the attack starts when business hours start in that city, in that country, and end when business working hours end. It's very clear that these are nation states with people with full-time jobs, and their job is to attack us. It's a persistent threat. And what they're really looking for a lot of times, but not always, is cutting edge research. So sensitive data that can give their programs an edge. And we have had warnings from the government of Canada about attempts to steal COVID research. Another thing we need to protect against are distributed denial of service attacks. This is the modern equivalent of pulling a fire alarm, and we have seen this at SFU, where during exams, all of a sudden we get a large denial of service attack, and it goes on for an hour or two. It starts exactly at the hour and ends exactly at the hour. And you can go on the web, and I shouldn't be telling you this, but you can go on the web and buy a denial of service attack through PayPal or Bitcoin. There are other sites other than the one I'm showing you that will even take credit cards. I would highly recommend you don't give your credit card number to a criminal site, but they do exist. These are some of the things we need to protect against, and we've recently installed a large denial of service appliance which helps protect against these kinds of attacks. Let me talk a little bit more about why universities are a target. We're seen as a little bit easier than, say, a bank or an insurance company. We're traditionally open and collegial, as I've mentioned. But we also have things like high performance research computing. So if you're a Bitcoin miner, then we are a lovely attack vector for you, because this would allow you to do Bitcoin mining using high performance computing devices. Universities have high bandwidth connections to international research networks. So through SFU, we're connected to the whole province through something called BCNet. BCNet's connected to Canada through an organization called Canary. Canary's connected to the whole world. So that's a vector into worldwide networks. I've mentioned the COVID data. We are also a large organization, so large revenue makes us a classic financial target. There's extensive local IT. So my role as the Chief Information Officer, I'm responsible for the enterprise IT organization. That's about 200 people. But there's about another 150 IT people that don't report to the CIO that do IT work, which makes this complicated. There are a couple other things why we've seen attacks where folks have come in just to get journal subscriptions or to change grade integrity. So these are issues these are the kinds of things folks are coming after in universities. So things to worry about, things that we have to worry about. Orion, which is an organization in Ontario, did a higher ed cybersecurity report. And they said, and this is in 2017, that the Stats Canada said that 46% of Canada's universities and colleges had reported a cybersecurity incident. And we are now the second highest sector in the economy for attacks from cybersecurity attackers. Let me just go through some of the announcements that happened just the first week of April. Stanford University, University of California, Berkeley, University of Colorado, University of Miami, UCLA, University of California, Davis, Brown University, Harvard Business School, and University of Texas in El Paso, all breached in 1 week. Just to give you a sense of what's going on. In Canada, Lakehead University, back in February, they were breached. Every system they had to be shut down, or sorry, every system was shut down by the attackers, and the university was offline for 2 weeks. Unlike a privacy breach, the entire system was shut down, including all their cloud computing systems. Saskatchewan Polytechnic, all their on-campus and online classes were shut down. Western, Trent, and a couple of other universities, actually, the advancement systems had been breached and personal data was breached there. University of Regina, the exam proctoring system, which is already an intrusive system and something I don't really support, was breached. So you can imagine that you have an exam proctoring system in your personal space, and then that system in and of itself gets breached. Royal Military College was breached months ago, and they still haven't brought some of their systems up. Nicola Valley Institute of Technology was shut down by an attack for 2 months. MacEwan University, there was a digital scam that happened, and they were scammed for more than $10 million. York University lost all of its on-premise systems for several days. Carleton University, offline for 24 hours. University of Calgary, shut down for 10 days. Queen's University, pay was diverted to a criminal account. UVic exposed all financial information, their entire payroll for all past and present employees. So these are the kinds of things that are happening in Canada. This isn't just something that happens at our university. And beyond Canada, there's a number of examples. University of California had to pay a $1.14 million ransom. Right? I'm not going to go into all the details here on this slide, but you can see that this gets very expensive. Kia was just held hostage. Now, it's not a university, but the ransomware was somewhere around $30 million. So these ransoms are getting bigger all the time. So let me talk a little bit about the risks. I love this quote, the future is disobedient. In other words, it's very hard to plan for the kinds of risks that you face. And in a university environment, we have a blend of remote and on-campus technologies, and the support for that gets complex, much more complex than what we've seen in the past. We have to support open innovation, but how do you do that when you have to tighten up security? So there's this balance that we're challenged with. Cyber crime generates profit, but cyber defense generates expense. So the motivations are different, right? The criminal organizations are motivated by making money, yet we have to control costs, and so there's an imbalance in incentives. The criminals thrive in jurisdictions where they can't be prosecuted. So it's something to think about, that when we're attacked by criminals that are in a country where we can't prosecute against them, how do you fight back? How do you defend yourself? This is not easy. So let me do an overview of the things that we are doing at SFU, and we are doing a lot. We're working hard. We have a new security approach. If we see a vulnerability, we shut it down. They're sometimes hard to discover. Sometimes we're surprised, but if we see it, we're taking a new philosophy, and that's not always easy for folks, but that's something we have to do. And the reason we do that is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So we're focusing more on safety over convenience. And always remember that the effort to remedy a security breach is infinitely greater than the effort saved in a security shortcut. And the quote here, security is always excessive. People always complain to me about how much security we have until it's not enough. We have a vision of one information system at the university, and that vision is that all of our systems will work together in a seamless fashion, and all of our people who support those systems will work together in a seamless fashion. And that means that we try and reduce the number of systems we have, and that vision has reduced the number of systems already and continues to lower our attack surface. And it makes our environment less complex. And if we can have a less complex environment, we can start to implement better security. We have less vulnerabilities in a less complex environment. And it allows us to observe and monitor the environment better and respond if there are issues. It reduces the number of access points and makes it easier for us to control. That's a vision, and that's years off, but that is our intended direction. We have an information systems security plan, and it's broken into 8 sections. We talk about risk governance, software engineering, our organization, training and awareness, operational security capabilities, authentication and authorization, network architecture and security model, and our information systems processes. I'll walk through each of these. First is information systems risk governance. So how do we make decisions about security? What is our policy? So we're moving forward with something called the 1IS policy, which is a very detailed series of 5 policies and several standards that roughly equate to somewhere around 215, 16 pages of new policy work that we need to put in place. We have a new information systems stewardship committee where we bring faculty into the conversation. We have experts in criminology on faculty. We have experts in computer security on faculty. We have experts on privacy in faculty. We're bringing those into a committee that will help guide our decision-making in terms of improving security on campus. We are continuing to improve how we do software engineering. We're moving into processes that will improve data handling, improve our policies and training for this. We've made some changes to our security organization. So I have what's called an information security officer. It used to report a layer down the organization, now reports directly to the CIO. We've also taken folks who in different parts of the organization who did security work, and we've moved them into one place. The operational security work is amalgamated into one group. In terms of information security training and awareness, we continuously grow our community's awareness and understanding. That's our intent. We have improved training and knowledge. We have cybersecurity awareness campaigns that happen every October. There's a wonderful quote on this slide: the best way to protect data security is to get rid of all the humans. Plan B is to train them. So we're doing plan B, and we're trying to train people as much as we can. We have to improve our information security operational capability. So this is the day-to-day work, the day-to-day operations that need to be in place. This is having things like cyber insurance in place, a major incident process so that we know how to respond in a consistent way when we have an issue. We do scanning of our networks. So we scan all of the systems looking for unpatched systems and vulnerabilities. We have been shutting down systems. There used to be a system called Fraser, and there were some related systems to that were vulnerable. We shut them down. We're planning on doing more penetration testing, which is external folks testing our environment from the outside, seeing what they can get access to. We're putting in place dashboard reporting so that we can start to measure ourselves and benchmark against other universities. And we're automating our patching process as much as possible so that we can get those patches in as quickly as possible in the case of something like a zero-day exploit. In terms of user authentication and authorization, we're making a lot of changes here. So we have something called CAS, or Central Authentication Service, which we're putting in front of as many applications as possible, including all web applications such as our PeopleSoft apps. We are enforcing multi-factor authentication for all faculty and staff by the end of this month. Everybody's faculty and staff must be on multi-factor authentication. By the end of the year, all accounts will have to be on multi-factor authentication. So we want to have all students as well. If you want to go on multi-factor authentication, you can go on it today, but it will be mandatory by the end of the year. We have a virtual private network that we've implemented, and we're asking folks to use that as much as possible. We have a privilege access management project that we're putting in place. And the big one is the identity management project, which is replacing our old identity system with a system that is much more modern and better integrated into our environment. Now, replacing that's a non-trivial project. There are 500 downstream systems to the existing identity system. So it's not like fixing a broken arm, it's like doing a brain transplant. So that's a major initiative that we have to put in place. Our network architecture and security, this is what we do to prevent the ability for malicious attackers to enter our systems and reduce their ability to propagate attacks. So protocols such as the remote desktop protocol, I don't mean to be technical, but we want to take that protocol and other similar ones. Now, protocol is a communications technology that allows computers to talk to each other. Some of them are deemed vulnerable now, and so we're moving them behind the virtual private network and multi-factor authentication. We're putting in systems to ingest and block threat intelligence feeds. So we get threat intelligence feeds from a number of organizations around the world, and we need to ingest them and understand what they are, and then act upon them when they're discovered if they are in our system. One of the tools to do that is a security incident and event manager, which is essentially an artificial intelligence engine that scans logs and creates warnings about what are potential threats to your environment. We've moved to managed desktops. We've put in place software that allows us to do that, but it's voluntary basis. We can't force that on everyone at the university, but it does improve our security posture. In longer term, we're moving to a zero trust default deny network, and what that means is that if your machine is deemed trustworthy and you are allowed to have access to a specific set of data, you will be allowed on the trusted network. And if you can't meet that criteria, you will be on an untrusted network. And that allows us to protect our crown jewels and core systems more effectively. That will be done in a number of stages, the implementation of that over the next few years. And we're building security into all of our systems processes. So we're implementing a policy of security by design first. So security is built into any process that we have, and that's our intent. I hope I'm not running out of time. I've got a few more slides, just a few closing thoughts, if you don't mind. I mentioned the FBI director's quote at the beginning. It's an if versus when situation, and some universities don't report breaches. As a matter of fact, a lot of breaches go unreported. And if you get outside the university environment, corporations, for the most part, do not report breaches. And that reflects, or that creates a significant misrepresentation of the magnitude of the problem that we face. Part of the problem that we face is that any wall built by a human, so any protection we build, can be scaled by a human. So human ingenuity in creating a security mechanism is regularly outpaced by human ingenuity in outsmarting the security mechanism. So it's a never-ending battle. Building security protection is a little bit like climbing up a sand dune. It seems as though just as you're about to reach the peak, you slide right back down again. In other words, it's a never-ending battle between us and them. Now, this isn't a Chicken Little situation where the sky is falling. It's bad. It's really bad. But it's a risk mitigation issue, and we need to assess security risks and implement plans to reduce the probability of occurrence and the degree of impact for any of these. And finally, we need to think of it as an investment exercise. And how expensive is 100% security? People used to say 100% security was unplugging from the network and just unplug your university. That's not the case anymore. Even that isn't enough. So we need to balance our security investment with the degree of risk. Media reaction for breach that we had in February was interesting. This is a quote from an article that was published. SFU has played this perfectly. They are responding how a modern organization should be in the event of a data breach. I would certainly caution people at the end of the day to not take out the pitchforks and on and on. You know, there's some respect for the fact that we do report on these breaches. Other organizations don't, and I think that, you know, we report to the OIPC, we report to folks that are affected. But the dialogue needs to change. If your doors are locked and you're attacked, you need to remember who's the criminal here. And you also need to remember cyber attacks are relatively cheap, and the cyber defense is very expensive and very painstaking. It's a lot of work. We have to protect everything. The attacker only needs to breach one thing. They just need to find one mistake. So I'll close with a picture from my hero, Bonnie Henry. When we think about security, we need to be kind, and we need to be calm, and we need to be safe. And I'd like to leave you with a question from me. We need your help. Any help we can get from you as students would be much appreciated. We have a student advisory council for IT, and if anyone's interested in volunteering to join that, I would love to have you as part of the committee. So I'll wrap it up there, Zaid. I hope I haven't gone on too long. It's an important topic. Do we have time for questions?
Yeah, we do. Thank you for the presentation there, Mark. I found it to be really interesting personally. And just for anybody who might be interested to join that committee that you just mentioned, would they just reach out to you through email there?
Yeah, just send me an email and I can add you to the committee.
All right, cool. I'll share that with everyone then. But yeah, we're going to move then to question and answer period here. For everyone who has questions that they would like to ask Mark regarding IT and data security, please do list yourselves in the chat here, and I'll choose you guys, and then you can read out your question, and Mark will have the opportunity there to answer. Yes, Ryan.
So I know for both recent security breaches, a forensic investigation was done after the fact. Will the results of those investigations, or at least what can be made public, be released to the students?
I apologize, but I'm gonna have to not answer any questions about those things, if you don't mind.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really would love to answer it, Ryan, but that's just not something we can do today. I'm sorry.
Alvin.
Thank you, Mark, for your presentation. I have a somewhat broad question, and I am unfamiliar with the space, so I'm sorry in advance.
Don't apologize. It's a complex area.
How much would you say almost our security is subject to hardware or software stuff from other companies that possibly have exploits versus our own ability to prevent data breaches? And how much can students help in this process?
Well, you know what? Getting involved in the student advisory council would be valuable. It's not just for security, but other projects that we do, other work that we do. You know, some of the wireless upgrades that we've done. We finished the wireless project, but now nobody's on campus. But you know, that committee helped with those kinds of things. I'm not sure I understand the first part of your question, though, Alvin.
I would have to come back to you. Maybe I've asked it in the wrong way.
No, you're asking about companies versus universities. Is that you want to get a comparison about how our protections look?
Yeah, so we buy the hardware and we buy the applications that help us be secure. And if they have exploits, I want to compare that to how our ability to protect us. So how much would you say, in layman's terms, could you shift the blame towards the companies, or could you shift the blame to us?
You know what? The blame is not on the company. The blame is on somebody who broke the law. Now, who broke the law in this situation? Okay. Now, the other part of your question is really interesting, because it becomes a supply chain question. So if you buy software from somebody who and their software is corrupted, how do you manage that, right? And there was a major breach in the United States. Well, it was a worldwide breach. FireEye software, which is a company that provides security software to lots of organizations around the world, including the Department of Defense in the United States and a large number of government organizations. That security software was breached. And then when they did a patch upgrade to the world, to all their users around the world, that propagated the vulnerability throughout the world. And then the attackers then used that to breach all of those organizations. So it's a really astute question because it's a supply chain problem. And that's probably one of the most creative attacks we've seen recently in recent history. It's a rather brilliant attack and scary, because then, it doesn't matter what products we buy or what tools we buy, can we trust them? So then that means another layer of security work we need to do. We need to put in scanning that starts to scan even the security tools that we have. So yeah, the world's getting world's getting complex, Alvin. But that's a really good question. Did I answer it properly?
Yeah, it was good. Thank you.
Good.
All right, Mehak.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, in the past breach, we noticed that different students had different data being breached. So how exactly did that happen? Are there different levels of security for different students?
Well, again, I want to avoid specifics around this, but what I can tell you is that it was one computer that was breached, and different spreadsheets were on it. And so different spreadsheets had different information, and that's why it varied from person to person. And that's why we built a tool so that if you want to understand what elements were compromised, that you could log in, and it would tell you the metadata, so the names of the elements that were breached, but didn't actually contain the actual data.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Devin.
Yeah, I was just curious if you could give any recommendations we could pass on to our DSUs and fellow students about how to best protect their data when using SFU sites like Canvas, or even just the information that's on GoSFU and SIN numbers and all of that, or just some general recommendations.
Yeah, we'll start with MFA. You can sign up now for MFA, and I'd recommend that. We've implemented the VPN for faculty and staff. We're looking at the scalability of the technology. What that means in plain English is, we can do it for, about 8,000 faculty and staff, but will the technology handle 35,000 students? So we've got some work to do there before we open it up. But when we do open up VPN for everyone, I'd strongly suggest that you use VPN to access systems. So MFA plus VPN.
Kylie.
Thank you. So I have two quick questions. The first one was, I was wondering if you could send us the PowerPoint just so we can share it with our club executives.
I guess so. I don't think there's any. I'll take a close look at it, see if there's any. What always concerns me is that, sending out any information about our security posture, if it starts to spread, then the folks who attack could get a copy of it, and it might help them in a future attack. So I'm always a little nervous about sharing these things.
Of course, that makes sense.
I'm paranoid. Sorry.
It's all good.
Okay.
The second question, I'm not sure if this is directly in your department, but my executives are wondering a lot why it's necessary that we have our SIN numbers on GoSFU, since they are so important, and there is the risk of them being hacked and having the SIN numbers being taken.
Oh, interesting. I'd have to let someone who has more information about that answer the question. Is Kylie right?
Yes.
Yeah, Kylie, I apologize, but I could give you an answer, but it would be more or less, you have to remember that I don't know all the details of all of our systems. And that's one where if I start to answer that, I'm probably going to get something wrong. But if you want, send me an email and I can link you up with some folks who could give you a better answer than I could.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
No,
I
it's all
wish I knew everything, but I just don't.
good. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for the presentation. I was wondering about the student data on that spreadsheet, those spreadsheets you mentioned. I heard that the data stored there was not encrypted. I don't know if that's true, but if I was wondering if this information is encrypted now, and like why was it encrypted in the first place?
Yeah, Jennifer, good questions. I'm not at liberty to answer those today. I apologize. I would love to, but I can't.
All right, just a couple more questions here. Kyle.
Hi, Mark. So sort of building on what other counselors have been going on, what do you want us to come away from your presentation with and bring to our student groups? Especially with stuff like, a lot of them are focused, and the whole reason we brought this up is because there are the two significant breaches within the calendar year. So, and I don't know, you're not at liberty to talk about that much, but what do you want us to say that was gained from this meeting with you, from this presentation? How are things changing and moving forward?
Yeah, that's a good question, Kyle. So, one of the reasons I took the opportunity to come and talk to you is I wanted to share with you how difficult the problem is. And I wanted to share with you that we are doing a lot of work, but it's an unfair fight. And we're working real hard. We've got a lot of very dedicated people doing a lot of hard work. And they're humans and they're not perfect. But to me, it's really important that you understand how difficult the situation is. When you think about a $6 trillion industry, when you think about ransomware attacks that have grown, I believe it's somewhere around 790, almost 800% during COVID, because there's more remote work. There's a lot more attacks going on because of the remote workplace, the remote learning, and remote research. So the world is a very difficult place right now for IT. And yeah, if you could share that. And it's not like we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. We're doing a lot of work. We have plans in place, and we're working on them. So.
All right. I think we just have time for one last question here. So I think I'm going to take that. So there's been this rumor that another breach has occurred actually quite recently, a couple days ago. So I'm wondering if you can confirm this in the scope of the breach.
So, we have technical issues, and I'm not at liberty to talk about, breaches. So I'm going to have to defer that question. But when you think about the number of systems that we have, we are dealing with technical issues on a regular basis.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming out and giving us this presentation here, Mark. Really do appreciate it that you're coming out here to engage with us. But yeah, I think that's all our time now for this item, and we're going to move on to our remaining discussion items here. Starting with 9.1 SFSS Town Hall.
Shall I log off?
Sure, thank you. Thank you again.
So any of those questions that I said, send me an email. My email address is mark_roman@sfu.ca. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Thanks very much.
All right. We're going to be moving on to item 9, discussion items. 9.1 SFSS Town Hall. I know Jennifer's been wanting to talk on this for quite some time now, so I think I'll just give the floor to her to speak on that.
Yes, thank you so much, Zaid. So basically, this town hall was something that we were planning, but then we realized the timing didn't work out because everyone was so busy with exams, and this is kind of a bigger project. So I thought I would bring this as a discussion item to council. So basically, the town hall is kind of a way for students to talk to SFSS, ask questions, and we hope this will probably improve communication and update the student body about what SFSS has been up to. So for people who can't attend the town hall live, it's intended to be a live event, but for people who can't attend, we're planning on having a survey so students can submit it ahead of time and ask questions. And of course, the town hall event will be recorded so people can refer back to it later. Since council will be the new legal board in May, I'm hoping we can get some counselors to help plan this. Some of you have already reached out to me, but we're hoping to have like a dedicated team since this is kind of a bigger event. So right now, like I said, it's kind of a little late to host it because of exams, but right now exams are over. So I'm hoping to get things started and host it maybe in May or June. Some things to consider is we will need to plan for cart captioning and ASL interpretation. We can also live stream on Facebook or YouTube. And we also need moderators, MCs, tech facilitators, panelists, and just general people to help us plan the event. So please, if you're interested in helping out, let me know and I will call a meeting so we can all stay updated on it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. If anyone wants to ask any questions about this, you guys can list yourselves in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move on. All right, cool. Thank you. Going to move on to item 9.2, Council, Transparency and Marketing. Kyle, I think you submitted this item.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. So this is just sort of a way to get idea that was submitted a month ago, but unfortunately due to delays. So basically, I just want us to start a discussion on going into the next term. How can council do better the market? How can council do better engaging with the student body? As we see with the SFSS votes and whatnot, we get less than 5% voter turnout, which is really poor. And we also get people who don't even know what exactly the SFS is, aside from it being a body that they pay money into every semester. We are undergoing a huge transition. How can we capitalize on that and improve the marketing of the SFSS, improve how students see the SFSS? What are the ideas? Stuff like improving the Instagram, Discord, social medias. So I'm just wanting to have a discussion on that, especially for the counselors who will be continuing into the next term.
Thank you, Kyle. If anyone wants to speak on this, you can list yourselves in the chat. Just a kind of general comment on it. It's definitely something that we need to continue working on, and it's really been an issue for us being online as well to really engage with people. I think something that we could do in the future is to really market our Discord server for communicating with students. I know we haven't been until fairly recently putting out that link for the council Discord, but I think that's something we should look at doing in the future, just to get that kind of sort of informal way of communicating with students directly who may have issues. They can join and they can pose whatever questions they have, and then board members can respond. Wei Chun, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this forward, Kyle. And this is a really important point as well. Like you said, with the new structure change. But yeah, doing those Discord is all good, especially during the online time. But as we go slowly going back into person, a really important part of the student union is to be mobilizing students and being on the ground talking to students. So as much as social media and stuff having a presence online is important, but it's also important in building that relationship with your membership, like talking to them one-on-one, like having tabling or that sort of like on the ground work, and talking to students and letting them know what's happening within the SFSS and what issues, hearing what they what issues they have and how you can advocate for them within your DSUs, within your faculty student unions, constituency groups. So literally reaching out to students and building that relationship is important. Encouraging students to come to your meetings, bring important topics to your meetings and stuff like that, and let students know that they can come to your student unions to talk about literally any issues that they have. So like those are the things you can do to like improve kind of engagement with students, and have students be more knowledgeable and engaged in the SFSS.
Thank you. Devin, you have the floor.
I also just wanted to add that I think the council has an Instagram account, but there's only 2 posts on it. And the account almost has 800 followers, which is not a small amount for a student page. Like a lot of DSUs have less than 100. So I think putting on our Instagram or Instagram stories about different votes we're having or different issues that are coming up in council could be really helpful to get the student body saying reach out to your student union to have your voice heard could be really helpful, because I think it's a platform that's a little bit untapped, but like really important.
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to Adrienne for making our Instagram and getting all those followers on there. We did have our outreach committee that's been working on that, but with the amount of turnover that we get, hasn't been consistent people who have been involved in that group aside from Adrienne. But yeah, that's something that we can try to use going forward. Having people work specifically on all of our social media and managing it, maybe instead of having everything go through a central social media manager, as we do have for the board currently. So that's something that we can explore. So any other discussion on this? Any other ideas people might have? Sarah?
Yes. Okay. So I totally agree with Devin. I think the council Instagram is underused. And I was also going to say that once we do start posting on it and updating students on what's going on through that Instagram account, or we as counselors could talk with our DSUs and amplify those posts so that that way our specific students get to know a little bit more about what's happening. And I also think the town hall is a really good idea, just to start connecting more with the general student population.
Thank you, Sarah. Asab?
Yeah, someone mentioned something about the pages that we have right now and kind of maybe expanding them and thinking about different ways that we can make sure that student engagement is high, particularly in mentioning that, there are hundreds of followers on the council account. So with the board, currently all of our kind of communications pieces do go through our communications department. That is bargaining unit work. So counselors in the future would not necessarily be able to create their own graphics and videos, etc. But I'll say our communications office is so fantastic and always open to feedback. And when, the council provides direction and kind of like ideas and stuff like that, our communications department is really great about executing on those things.
Thank you, Asab. I'm actually trying to think about whether we may want to carry the outreach committee forward and have a committee that works specifically on managing maybe council's social media, and also planning events and things to I guess engage people. So whether that's organizing when we should be tabling different places, reaching out to DSUs. I mean, it's a possibility, something to explore as well. Kyle, you have the floor.
Yeah, so I'd just like to say my last little thing that I had on this, not the end of the discussion, of course, is that I want to propose that ideas about how to prioritize making sure that first years and incoming students actually understand what the SFSS is. Because I think engagement is great, and getting people more engaged is a good thing to target. But personally, I feel as though the SFSS as a whole is completely undermarketed towards students. Like I'll be personally anecdotal, where I didn't even really know what the SFS did until my third year at SFU. I think that's unacceptable for the student or for the student government to be that sort of obscure, whether it's in part of the students or in part of the SFSS. So I think I think ideas need to go forward just purely on marketing. Forget about trying to engage people. Just try and make it so, hey, we're here. We're doing more than just taking your money every semester. I think some ground level work can be a good idea to start out with, and then engagement can grow from that.
Thank you, Kyle. Sir. Yes, Wei Chun.
I think like you need to do both. In terms of like engagement, like really on the ground is really important. So I wouldn't say it's like one or the other and like focus on the other thing, but doing both at the same time is really needed. Yeah.
So just again, before we go back to the list, I'd like to propose the idea of, maybe looking at making a committee that focuses purely on outreach. So, carrying forward the council committee that we have, and maybe having that as part of the board committees next year that focuses solely on advertising, marketing, the SFSS, and really going out there and planning, kind of on the ground engagement. So whether that's tabling or other initiatives. I mean, it has been a year since we've been in person. So, obviously we haven't seen we haven't seen the SFSS do their tables and things, but I do remember them doing them, a few times over the years. But like maybe we can have, a committee that's dedicated to that, and focuses solely on, ways to go around and really publicize the SFSS and, what we're doing outside of social media. Just going back to the list. Oh yeah, Jennifer. I remember, I think there was like a food cart once that came somewhere and they were giving out free food. Sorry guys, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I really enjoyed that. There was like juice boxes and things. So, I think we should do that again once we're in person. But Sarah, you get the floor.
Yes. I'm not sure if there's already something like this, but I was thinking that doing kind of like a short video of like explaining what the SFSS is and the different types of committees and what we do would be a good idea, just in terms of outreach. And then we could just spread that out through the entire population. God, I thought yeah, that was the idea. Sorry, I lost the line of thought. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a great idea. Making some kind of informational kind of video that really properly explains how the SFSS works, especially with the governance change. I mean, people are already confused with how the society function, but things have gone a bit more complicated now with the new board and how the levels of I guess accountability are working here and whatnot. So yeah, that's something that we could look at next term, making some kind of video that really thoroughly explains everything, how the society works, where students are all involved, what areas the staff kind of work in, and then what areas students are directly involved in. So that's a great idea, something to look forward to working on. Yes, Devin. There is a list. I mean, I have my own list that I made, but there should be current lists somewhere of all the committees. I think even in the work reports, it should list all of the committees as well that are that exist and whether they've met or not. So I can either direct you to the work reports, or I'll find in the drive. I have a list somewhere. And as also said, it's also in the board policies. So is there any further discussion? Anything anyone would like to add on this? Sandra?
So yeah, I just kind of want to add on to what Devin said earlier, just about Instagram. But something that I've observed is that SFU BD has a pretty solid engagement on Instagram, I would say, and that maybe we could take some notes on and maybe follow, such as having Q&A stories, post about our goals as council for the upcoming term, and updating our upcoming projects maybe, and possibly have like a feature segment where we could potentially feature certain council members so that the students that follow could get to know council a bit better. I just noticed that that's what BD does, and I think that it's a good way to create a strong a sense of community online, and just for students to know the faces behind council as well.
Awesome, that's another great idea. I do know that, BD's, I mean, I'm not sure, is marketing its own major, but anyways, they have a, great outreach with their social media accounts, something we can learn from. But like with all this said here, I think Jennifer's saying it's a concentration. I don't think our business rep is here. I would have asked, but anyways, yeah, it's great ideas. Great to hear from you guys about that. People who are looking to kind of get involved with managing council's social media, I get in contact with Adrienne, who's the chair of our outreach committee. It's still yet to be kind of decided how we'll be incorporating that committee, whether that's stating it as an official board committee next term, or how we're going to work with that. But in the meantime, if you do want to get involved with working with and managing our Instagram, please do reach out to Adrienne. You can message her or myself in the Discord, and can get going with that. But with that being said, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion then, going to move on. We're on to item 9.3, Transition Steering Committee, lack of updates. Kyle, I believe you submitted this item again.
Thanks, Ed. I'd actually like to, just since this was submitted a month ago and we've since gotten some actual information, I think it's any more discussion, especially at the last meeting, won't be productive. So I'd like to motion to withdraw this item.
I don't really think you need to motion. You can just state that you'd like to withdraw it. And I mean, if there's nobody has an issue with it, if it's agreeable with everyone, then we will move on. Yeah, not seeing any objections. So we're on to 9.4, council's budget remaining funds. Yeah, we are at our last meeting here. I meant to propose this discussion item much earlier, but of course we had a lot of other things that we were considering. But with our budget, we do have some remaining funds. Basically, I put this discussion item here to ask you guys for some suggestions for what we could do with our remaining money there. But again, it's really the end of the term, and the end of the fiscal year. So it would be something that we'd have to do immediately. So if nobody has any ideas regarding that, I think we can just leave it there. Obviously, the funds are just going to go back to the SFSS. Yes, Serena.
If the funds don't carry over, maybe we could, well, what I had in mind is maybe we could donate it to an anti-Asian racism organization. There's been I know that there's one regarding Asian sex workers, supporting Asian sex workers that I saw online. I forgot the name of it, but I think it would be good. If anyone has any suggestions, you want to put them in the chat, I can like write up a quick motion, if that's okay with folks. I honestly don't even know. Yes, Swan Vancouver, perfect, thank you. And then I don't even know how much money we have left, but I think that we could donate it instead of, you know, giving it back to the SFSS if it's not going to carry over. And Alan has one too. And
Yeah, regarding carryover, I mean, it's not really gonna, there's no carryover because council as it stands is going to be changed into the board. But yeah, you're right, it will go back. So we can consider some organizations that we may want to donate our remaining funds to. Don't remember exactly how much we have left. I'm gonna have to check our previous minutes, but yeah, out of these organizations that have been mentioned, I believe there's Swan Vancouver, Hua Foundation, and then Wei Chun listed sent a website here. So if this is something that interests people, we can try to pass a motion here, and I can send it off to what was it, our outreach coordinator, our student union. Sorry, my mind's blanking there, but you know, we can see if we can try and get that done before the end of the term here and end of the fiscal year. But yeah, anyone else like to share their thoughts here? Just gonna take a look back through our minutes. Is Corbett here? Oh boy. Been nice to have Corbett here to ask him whether we can just designate to give the rest of our funds or whether we have to state a specific number. So I am not finding our remaining how much we spent last time, but
Zaid, if you can give me a couple of minutes, I can check our financial statements and see what's left in the line item.
sure, that'd be great. Perfect. All right, well, OSIP is doing that, then we can move on to item 9.5 here, which was Council Discord. So I brought this item up just kind of regarding what everyone's thoughts are going forward for the next term, whether we want to use this Discord server, the one we're currently using, or if we want to create a new one. I mean, this is something that could probably better to be addressed later on, you know, next term there. But one of the things that I just wanted to bring up was that, you know, as an oversight body, council should have its own separate channel where we have our own discussions, whether we do come into any form of, you know, contention with board executives. So in order to have that though, the owner does need to be a council member. So my idea was to propose that whoever it is that becomes vice chair next term either creates a new server or takes over ownership of the current server, and you know, everyone can join there. But that's really, I guess that's something that's to be discussed next term, and it can be figured out whether we want to retire this one or not. Wei Chun, your response?
Yeah, so in terms of Discord server, I would suggest council move over to the existing board Discord, just because all the committee channels and all the working group channels are already all set up in there. So it'll be less work to set up everything and like having a new Discord. So all the council will just move in there and all the new execs will be in there as well. And that will be kind of the board Discord. And then in terms of like, council being like an oversight and whatever, I leave that up to what council wants to decide, whether they want to have like a private channel or completely their own Discord. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think like in terms of just the whole board as a whole, the council should be moving towards the board Discord, current board Discord is my suggestion, because it just makes things easier.
Okay, thank you, Wei Chun. When it comes to making Discord servers, I mean, it really just takes like 10 minutes. It's not something difficult. So, I mean, it can be done fairly quickly. So, I mean, I just wanted to bring that up, mainly the part about, having some space for counselors specifically to speak to one another. If there ever does come a point, as there has been multiple points in the past where councils come into I don't really want to use the word conflict with the board or executives, but essentially that. So, if we ever do end up butting heads in the future, there's spaces for people to discuss things separately, and that ownership should be under whoever the vice chair is, as they will be a counselor. Awesome, thank you, Asab. So we have 520 remaining from our budget. So we can do a motion today to donate that to one of the previously mentioned organizations. I mean, I don't know if there's a preference or not, but Asab, you may speak.
Yeah, this is more just, I think, something to think about for the upcoming term. In terms of like communications channels, right now we do have, in our Discord at least, we do have channels that are only for board members, in that, if there are discussions that need to be shared and pieces of information that maybe are not necessarily ready for public, or we need to do like approvals on something that only board members really need to look at, we have that. And then we have other channels that are open to students at large and our staff, etc. One thing that I would just think about is, if it is the case where, there is information pertaining to society matters in particular being shared that is like withheld from executives, that may cause problems, because technically they are counselors as well. But then again, I do encourage kind of the discussion of counselors as to, ways to keep the executives accountable, etc. So I think there needs to be some maybe discussion and thought into how that both of those things can happen at the same time.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a discussion that we most probably will just have when we get started up again next term. I mean, we can sort it out. We'll see whether the Discord servers will be even that active once we go back in person. I mean, I don't really know the history of kind of how counselors communicated with each other back when we were in person, as for those of you who didn't know, I joined when we were online. So I've never been to an in-person meeting, but anyways, Serena has put the motion in the chat here, draft 1, for donating our funds. We just need to decide on an organization. So I'm wondering if anyone has any preferences here. If anyone would like to motivate on behalf of any of these organizations, and then maybe we can do a quick Zoom poll. We'll amend the agenda, pass it, and then we can adjourn later. So again, if anyone wants to motivate on behalf of any of these organizations for supporting the Asian community here in Vancouver, please do either type in the chat or list yourself. Serena?
I guess I can motivate for donating to SWAN. Thank you to Devin for putting some info about SWAN into the chat. They're located in Vancouver, and they provide culturally specialized supports and advocacy for immigrant and migrant women engaged in sex work. You can check out what their values are, but it is a local organization and it helps those on the front line of sex work. And given the nature of the anti-Asian racism that we saw in Atlanta, was it Georgia? Atlanta, Georgia, or I think nearby. I think would be a good organization to donate to.
All right. Well, Devin, you may speak.
I just wanted to second my support for donating to SWAN.
All right. Okay, seeing no further discussion then, I think we can, I mean, do we need a poll here? I'm just going to ask everyone really, because I don't really see this being contentious. If anyone is opposed to, you know, putting SWAN as our preferred organization to donate to, I guess we're going to have to pass the motion anyway, so that can be objected there. But if you do, please do, I guess, object now. Right. Seeing no objections, I think we'll just move to the motion there. Serena, you can move to amend the agenda with that motion.
Okay, I'd like to move to amend the agenda to include a motion titled, I guess, council donation of remaining funds to anti-Asian racism organization, which is, should I read out the motion now?
Yeah.
Okay, which reads, whereas on March 31st, 2021, Council voted in favor of supporting the SFSS's Boards of Directors statement, SFSS in solidarity against anti-Asian racism, be it resolved that Council donates its remaining $520 of funds to SWAN Vancouver.
All right, thank you. Also, just a quick question. What is our line number again for council?
Give me one quick second. I just closed the tab.
Sorry for putting you on the spot there,
All good.
but I just remembered we mentioned that in the last motion. So just wanted to make sure. We can have that as the title, just for the admin assistant. And okay. Or the title that was just mentioned by Serena, whichever works. Would anyone like to move this motion? Or she? Sorry, she moved to amend the agenda with it. So I'm just gonna ask for a seconder.
Women's Center seconds.
Women's Center seconds. All right, I'm going to seek unanimous consent to add this motion onto the agenda. Seek unanimous consent. If you'd like to object, please do so now. Seeing no objections, this amendment carries. All right, we're now going to move on to discussing the actual motion itself. It's council donation to anti-Asian racism organizations. The motion reads, whereas on March 31st, 2021, Council voted in favor of supporting the SFSS Board of Directors statement, SFSS in solidarity against anti-Asian racism, be it resolved that Council donates its remaining $520 in funds to SWAN. Anyone like to move this motion?
DNA moves.
DNA moves. World Literature, would you like to second?
Yes.
World Literature seconds. I'm just going to move to amend this motion so that it reads, whereas on March 31st, 2021, Council voted in favor of supporting the SFSS Board of Directors statement, SFSS in solidarity against anti-Asian racism, be it resolved that Council donates its remaining $520 in funds from line 815/20 to SWAN. Would anyone like to second this amendment?
Women's Center seconds.
Women's Center seconds. All right, I'm going to seek unanimous consent. Once again, seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please do so now. Seeing no objections, this amendment carries unanimously. All right, so the motion now reads, whereas on March 31st, 2021, Council voted in favor of supporting the SFSS Board of Directors Statement, SFSS, in solidarity against anti-Asian racism. Be it resolved, the Council donates its remaining $520 in funds from line 815/20 to SWAN. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll now move to vote. Seeing that there, all right, I'm going to seek unanimous consent. Seeking unanimous consent once again. If you'd like to object, please do so now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries unanimously. All right, I'm going to reach out to Anna and we'll direct those funds to SWAN. But yeah, I think that's it for our discussion items. We covered everything. Going to move to item 10, adjournment. 10.1, be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 6:07 p.m. Would anyone like to move this motion?
Word literature moved.
Word literature moves. Would anyone like to second?
Economic seconds.
Economic seconds. Just before we pass the motion and end our meeting, I think Helen had something she wanted to say.
Hello, thanks, Zaid. I guess that's about the group photo, right? So we want to ask counselors if at the end of the meeting, if you'd like to be a part of a group photo that we're going to take on Zoom, and then we'll post it on our council social media. Just please stay on the line here before you leave, and we'll do so. Everyone is welcome. That's
right,
it.
perfect. That's all. Then I'm going to move then for the final time, seeking unanimous consent. Once again, seeking unanimous consent. If you would like to object, please do so now. Seeing no objections, the motion to adjourn the meeting passes unanimously. Perfect.